I mean, the big conflict is that Alf eats cats. And
that is a problem.
I don't know how to circle that square.
You can sell yourself as reformed because you're a cat owner now.
I'm an Alf that has gone to rehab.
This is Hoot and Holler, podcast about the Ozarks. It is November 15th, 2020. Just 2020. I was going to say like 2022 or something, but that's not right. And we are in the second week of the election, which has been called for over a week now for Joe Biden, and the sitting president, Donald John Trump, is still talking about how it's not over, and he concedes nothing. We are very much on coup watch, though it does seem to be like a Keystone Cop routine that's going on instead of any kind of School of the Americas operation. I don't know how you guys handling this Million MAGA March and the like.
Well, there were just a few under 1 million at the Million MAGA March here in Northwest Arkansas. I think there was a crowd of 10 to 15 people, so they were very close in having 1 million people there. I don't want to say that I'm not worried about it, because I know that definitely comes from like a position of privilege of being like a straight white person in America. But I also think that it comes from a point of having grown up around a lot of people who are protesting for Daddy Trump. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, you know, Lonnie Joe is just out doing his thing today. We're going to be okay. I'm not too worried about Donald Trump succeeding in successfully overthrowing the government just because, you know, they can't get their shit together enough to pass any like meaningful legislation. Right. So I mean,
or book of 4 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can't even. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani is leading this ship, and I have a hard time being worried they're going to be successful. Like, it's too late for beginners luck at this point. So,
yeah, my concern certainly is not Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani and just like the absolute a comedic rogues gallery. I mean, they're all terrible at everything. I mean, it's just a fucking a Three Stooges skit playing out with dire long-term consequences. I think my big concern is just not the 8 people at the top trying to do it, but the concerted effort to just completely cleave apart reality, you know, by convincing people that it is actually illegitimate. And I don't know, man, like that's hard to come back from.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and it is hard, but I don't know, it's just like, I guess I just don't think that I expected anything else from, you know, my crazy uncle or my dad. Of course they were going to go along with what President Trump said, and I understand that, you know, Trump is not the end all be all of the societal rot that is currently taking over America. But I'm just like, at this point, it's just like, okay, guys, if you want to scream on Parler that this was a fake election, I guess have at it, guys.
That's the troubling thing to me, is that we've already been in this completely divided country, and now if half of the country goes on Parler to just do their like white supremacy stuff, and then half of us are on a different social media thing. They already had a white supremacy site. It was Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like that's what's scary to me.
It's everything's becoming very siloed. I mean, there's just so many different realities. I mean, there's 300 million different realities that we've all created for ourselves.
Right.
We each live in our own reality. There's no longer a shared fabric that's holding us together, even in the sense of reality. I'm not even talking about like political or societal fabric. I'm talking about like we cannot agree on a person-to-person basis about what is real.
I think one of the huge breaking points, which this wasn't like the breaking point, like politically or anything, is that so everything has been fractured and we haven't had there's no shared culture. But the only shared culture we really had left was sports. And now we don't even have that because now all of those sportsmen are too woke.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Folks, it is not good.
Yeah, I mean, there's just institutional rot on every face. I mean, the cultural rot, political rot, economic rot. Like the thing is really coming apart from the inside out, and I don't know, man. We haven't cured cancer yet. I don't think we can cure the political equivalent either, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, living at the end of history, as it were. More literal every day.
Well,
It
maybe
is funny.
maybe Jesus will come back. That's actually I'm putting my hope in.
That is, I
in
mean,
the
it's
lamb.
something like 40.5% of Americans believe that Christ will return. Maybe it was 40.5% of Christian Americans. Regardless, an overwhelming number of Americans think that Jesus Christ will return in their lifetimes or shortly thereafter. And that explains so much about everything about this moment in our history.
The thing about Christ,
Let's go.
no, is he called his shot 2,000 years ago. He said, "I'm coming back soon," and we've been waiting, my man. So
Listen, I watched a very interesting piece of media this week. It's called Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames. Jesus is coming back, y'all. And
I mean,
he's not afraid to send a mailman who had a heart attack to hell over it. So y'all better get right with the Lord.
What if he's been trying to come back for the last 30 years, but he keeps coming back in, like, I don't know, Baghdad, in the Gaza Strip, in Yemen, and then, you know, every time Jesus is coming back, and just as he's starting to become a person, you know, a young child, and starting to learn that he is Jesus, he gets fucking drone bombed by a
you think he's coming back as a baby? Is that your thing?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Like the Dalai Lama, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He came the first time as a baby. Why would I don't listen. Revelations is anti-Roman propaganda from like the 9th century. I'm not trusting that shit at all. I'm taking Jesus' word. If he's coming back the same way that he came the first time. Immaculate conception.
He's got to do a grow up. I want to know what did the mailman do?
Oh, the mailman, he didn't really do anything. He just didn't believe in Jesus. And he had a heart attack, and his name was not in the book of the Lamb. And that mean-ass angel sent him straight to hell.
They found his, like, 2 issues of Penthouse in his, like hidden beneath his mattress. And they're like, no, sorry. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, send him
it was... Yeah, you know, it sounded like he was living on the government teat, and he was looking at porno. Sounds like that heart attack didn't come soon enough.
This is from a play, right? Like a copyrighted play?
Yes, absolutely.
I wonder how much it costs to get the rights, because I really do think we should do a table read. Just a cold read.
Well, in my obsession with Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames this week, you can you can pay. It is a real life. I don't remember the name of the ministry that has the copyright to it. You can pay them $4,000, and they will do 3 shows for you.
$4,000.
4,000, and you have to supply the actors.
They put it on, or what?
So, from what I read, you have to pay $400 as a deposit, and then the rest of the money is due at the end of the final drama, as they call it. You have to supply the actors. They supply all the sound equipment and some of the decorations, but you're still having to grift some people into volunteering to go to hell.
No, okay, so here's the thing. My father used to do plays, I forget what he called them, illustrated sermons, where he would just get people from the church to like act in them, and it was kind of like Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames, but I think he wrote and directed them, and all you had to give them was Domino's pizza and the chance to shine on stage.
Honestly,
he wrote the plays, though.
I mean,
right?
mostly he was just reading the Bible. It was that kind of thing.
So we just need to thoroughly read Heaven's Gates. What is it?
Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames.
Hell's Flames. Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames. We just need to read it meticulously, become students of the document, and then write a studied parody of it for fair use reasons.
I believe that Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames might just be a parody on the Bible already. So we might be getting a little meta there.
I am looking forward to the Hoot and Holler v. Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames Supreme Court case.
We're gonna have so much fun when we go to Washington, D.C., you guys.
I want to meet Justice Kavanaugh.
Pound some beer, Brett. I love beer.
I'd be like, sir, me too. Let's just go out and have one together. And
sir,
talk about
me
it.
too. Hey, so Taylor, how's your move going?
It's awful. I think the next time I move, I'm gonna try to marry a Dutch man, so his huge family can help move all of my shit. I have too much stuff, and I'm still just unpacking boxes and boxes of things I didn't even remember that I had. So it's great. Margot is very angry that we have moved. She's been hissing at her shadows all day.
See, that's definitely where being a dog person instead of a cat person comes in useful. Is at least moving is never really that traumatic. Just find a new place to piss and he's all good. He's just expanded his territory, you know.
There's a scene in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie where the Foot Clan, there's like a truck that is just like filled with like stock, and like the driver like walks around the corner and they all jump in and take everything out right away, and he comes back and is like, what? That's how having a Duggar help you move would be. Like you would have to do, like, you would walk out of your house and walk back in, and there's nothing left, and they've already got it in the truck. 2 seconds.
Yeah. I had to assemble some furniture today, which was horrifying. I hated every minute of it. I'm sore, and I still have a dresser to assemble at some point. So, I gotta break into the compound because I don't want to do this anymore.
I spent a summer working as a mover, getting paid under the table. Made pretty decent money doing it, but it was like the worst shit ever. Because you'd move like a 5-truck house, like rich people's house, and they'd tip you nothing, you know. Which apparently that is a thing. You're supposed to tip your movers. I only learned that by moving, and I've only ever moved myself, so or tipped friends with pizza. But
yeah.
This one time we had to move this house, which was a frail old guy and like his live-in nephew. And the nephew kept saying that the guy was like a famous interior design teacher that taught at UT, University of Tennessee, and his house was full of just like all this antique stick furniture, but it was all already broken in various ways. So we had to move all this like really fragile old furniture that was already broken, and they kept trying to tell us that we were breaking it or whatever. Whenever like, so we just had to like get to the point where we were picking it up and identifying what was broken on it before taking it out to the truck and carefully loading it in and writing that all down so that they wouldn't get our ass afterwards. But they underbid the job. They said it was just like one truck, and it ended up being like 2 full-sized trucks worth of shit. And they had indoor cats. They had like 7 or 8 indoor cats, and I'm kind of allergic to cats, like some much worse than others. And so we were just moving shit with like 35 years worth of cat hair built up in balls behind. And it ended up taking like 12 hours, and my eyes were just like swelling shut, pouring sweat. It was in the middle of July in Tennessee. Just like the most miserable shit. And then they underpaid us and stiffed us, and it was like that's.
God.
I quit that job shortly after that.
Oh man, I will say I did feel bad. I did have some movers to move like the big heavy stuff, and as soon as they got to my old apartment, it started storming, and I was like, oh god, I felt so bad. And yes, somebody actually thankfully told me, this is the first time I'd hired movers. They did tell me like, you need to tip your movers. I'm like, okay, thank God. I did not want to look like the dick that had people moving their stuff during a storm, and I'm like, oh, I don't have any cash. So honestly, 0 out of 10. Don't recommend moving. I planned to die in this apartment, so just so everybody knows.
I keep staying at the same place I live, even though during this pandemic they raised my rent, even though everything on my street just keeps like opening up. Like the people I share a driveway with moved out, and the house burned down the street. You know what I mean? Like everything is like there's so many houses boarded up near me, and they're still like, yeah, we're gonna need another 20 from you.
That's we noticed. We've been just curiously checking out Springfield rent for the last few years and watching it climb every time we check. I mean, it's like the house we rented in Grant Park or Grant Beach when our son was born, we paid $395 a month for, in that same house, which is just like a shitty little 3-room 1894 shotgun railroad house, is now renting for like $700 or something like that. And I've driven by it, and they haven't done any kind of improvement to that place. It's still just a shitty 130-year-old building. So I mean, it's interesting to see. Like Springfield is like the depressed neighborhoods seem to be getting worse, and yet rent just citywide keeps going up, including in those neighborhoods. So.
Yeah, I think
it's all because of these bookstore owners opening up independent bookstores downtown and gentrifying the city.
I miss when I lived in Northwest Springfield, because I paid like $250 a month. It was something crazy.
My God!
And now I pay like $635.
Damn.
People are gonna hear that shit who live on the East Coast, and they're just gonna start bleeding out of their fucking eyes, complaining about $650 rent.
I know. I was telling my friend what I pay for a 2-bedroom now here in Fayetteville. She was in the city, and she was like, Taylor, I never want to hear you complain about shit again. She's like, you have this huge apartment that's like, I think probably double the size of hers, and she shares it with 2 other people. And she's like, and you have a in-unit washer and dryer? It's like, okay. But yeah, we see a lot of those similar problems, like here in Fayetteville, especially. The university keeps, like student housing for the university, they keep swooping in and buying up places, and so affordable housing for people who just live in Fayetteville, don't go to the university, is getting like scarce and like tough to come by, and it's ridiculous because we almost saw our whole town shut down when COVID came through. So
Yeah, that's a big thing in Springfield is all the student housing expanding into previously affordable neighborhoods. You look at West Central and Roundtree and just all the areas
All of
around the
downtown.
university.
Yeah, it's
all of downtown
Yeah.
has turned into higher end, student oriented housing.
It's nuts.
It's interesting. In Branson, they've been talking about like affordable housing and how the city doesn't have enough affordable units for the level of poverty within the city, but that they have to do a study because it's very expensive to build in Branson because of all the rock, which is really funny because like all Branson does is build new shit. Like you could have
that's what
something.
I was thinking.
Yeah, like you could have. I mean, there's empty hotels right now, and they're building new hotels, within a mile of them. They don't recycle anything. I mean, they've started to a little bit. Like they turned the Ball Knobbers Theater into Wonderworks. They're turning the Grand Palace into an aquarium. But you have all these hotels, and especially after this year, so many more are probably going to end up closed down before next season. And you're talking about you don't have money to put into. I mean, they built a new strip mall out whenever they built the new Walmart a few years ago, and that strip mall is like half empty now. I mean, they're just like empty stores left and right, and then they just built a new Aldi right around the corner, and it's an all new building. So, I mean, the city doesn't repurpose any property after its initial run or whatever, but they're complaining about how too expensive it is to build affordable housing when there's probably thousands, especially through the winter, thousands of empty hotel rooms in the city that the city could easily just pay for medium-term housing for people who need it at least through the winter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my joke that I've made about affordable housing is that what we need to do is get people who can't afford housing to become students and get student loans and just take out government loans, get those, and then they can have a place to live. And then hopefully
Right.
someone would come into power that would cancel their student debt and win-win.
Hopefully. Yeah, I mean every financial decision these days is a complete fucking gamble like that. You know what I mean? Unless you're wagering thousands or millions of dollars on a transaction, you're basically just doing some fucking Vegas gambling odds on your long-term debt and stuff.
Just do roulette so many times, and in theory, it will win.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
I tried that scam once and did not work. The double your money every time. Just left embarrassed.
I'm always too chicken to play table games. If I go to a casino, I hit the slots and that's it. Even in Vegas, I was too chicken to jump in on craps or roulette or anything like that.
Yeah, I
Too much
can't
of a
really
coward.
do mental math for like simple multiplication or division, so I don't gamble. I feel like that would be embarrassing for me.
Most of the table games, though, are just fucking carny games. Like, roulette is... what's the difference between roulette and, like, shooting a squirt gun into a fucking clown's mouth to pop a balloon? You know?
That is
At
true.
least that may take even more... That takes more skill than roulette. Well, let's dive into topics, I guess. Who wants to... Mine's kind of a bummer, but it ends on a bright note, and maybe go last. I don't know. Or maybe I should go first and get it out of the way. If you don't want to hear bummer news, skip ahead about 20 minutes. I'll just go ahead with it.
Okay.
So I want to talk about coronavirus. I'm sure everybody's hearing about coronavirus. Everybody's heard about coronavirus.
Jay Leno, have you heard this? It's in the news, folks.
Have you heard this? You seen this? It's coronavirus. Looks like
coronavirus is over now that the election's done, right?
Yeah, it's all gone.
Magic.
It's
like
all gone.
magic.
It's so not bad that Friday night, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum issued capacity cuts and canceled most school extracurriculars and imposed a statewide mandate. And now that's super notable because North Dakota is one of the few states that almost completely avoided statewide mandates on anything through the spring and early summer when everybody else was locking down and starting to put in mask ordinances, shutting down restaurants and shit. North Dakota just kept on trucking. And so they're finally coming around to how dire it is. El Paso, Texas is this moment mid-November's New York City in March. I mean, they've got mobile morgues. They've ordered COVID nurses back to work if they're positive in the COVID wards.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad, and we spent all this time, and it does not look like these hospitals are ready at all. I mean, some hospitals built new wings and like temporary wards and stuff like that, but the PPE shortage is pretty dire again. We're not testing enough in a lot of states, including in this region. We're simply not fucking ready for what's about to happen. I laugh about it. It's not funny at all. Like, a fucking 250,000 fucking people are dead because of policy failure, right? Like, fundamentally, it's because the people in charge fucking let us down. They did not take this seriously. They acted in their own self-interest. They let bickering over made-up things like the deficit control the conversation. And now we are staring down the barrel of what we'll probably look back and count 1 million fucking deaths in a few years once we reckon with the excess death rate and everything, you know? It's not funny, but it's also darkly fucking funny. I can't do anything else besides laugh, or I will cry. I'll die. I'll just shut down thinking about 1 million dead people and a prolonged depression is so overwhelming that I apologize for laughing. I know a lot of people have lost people or know people who lost people. I do not want to minimize this at all. I can't handle it any other way. So I just felt like
I completely understand. I'm the same way because it's not, like I said, it's not funny, but it's just we locked down in the spring, and we took this serious for maybe a couple of days. And now that shit's really, really getting bad, people are like, "Oh, we're gonna go see Grandma for Thanksgiving." It's like, bitch, you about to kill your Meemaw. Like, what are you doing?
You especially look around here in Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas. We didn't get hit super hard in the first surge or second, and not as hard in the second surge, which also, it's a little concerning. Like the terminology that is like standard that I'm hearing is this is not second wave. This is third surge, because we never broke a fucking first wave,
Yeah, that's true.
You count a population in a geography this large, like and the complete decentralization of the mobilization against it, and we just never could do what every other country on Earth basically has done, and at least broke the first wave. You look at the thing, and it goes up and it comes down a little bit, but then it goes up again and it comes down to more than it was up the first time, and then it goes back up again, and now we're into completely uncharted territory where we're seeing almost 200,000 new cases a day. Other places are taking it more seriously. But New York City's thinking about closing schools, and the threshold that they're looking for is a 3% positivity rate on their tests. And right now, Missouri, we're seeing a sustained for like over a week now statewide positivity rate of like 20%. And that's using the CDC method, which is much more forgiving than the state method, which is showing 40% positivity. And that doesn't really indicate the infection rate. But what it does indicate is that we aren't testing nearly enough fucking people. Like, if almost half the people that are getting tested for surveillance purposes are coming back, then that means we're not testing enough people. That means people are definitely getting through, I mean, Clinton at the northern edge of the Ozarks is reporting like 30% positivity using the CDC method. And that's really, rural areas are getting completely overwhelmed. I think about Clinton specifically. They got a hospital that's no more than glorified clinic. You know, they have an ER room. That's the only thing that makes them a hospital. I'm sure they now have an COVID set up in their regular hospital and in the ICU, but at some point soon that infrastructure will critically fail, and the nearest hospitals then start to get up into the Kansas City region. You know, like so many of these rural areas, if they're served by a hospital at all in our counties here, like if they're served by a hospital at all, it's a small one, and they overrun as to say like Springfield or St. Louis, who just last week said that they are no longer, or they're about to the point where they're no longer accepting rural transfers. They're only going to take like local residents at their hospitals because their hospitals are getting so overwhelmed. So then where do those people being transferred in from outstate go, you know? I don't know. We're just hitting a deeply dire point. Missouri and Arkansas are both reporting over 1,500 cases a day. Oklahoma's reporting over 2,000 cases a day now. I don't know. It's just it's getting bad, and there's no leadership from the top. There's nobody coming to save us with economic relief. There's nobody coming to save us with new rules or guidelines on how to do things. Or whenever they do make new guidelines, they get rolled back or not implemented by local officials. Anyways, and so I think it's up to us to, unfortunately, I mean, you can't run a pandemic response like this, but unfortunately it's up to us to take personal responsibility. And I mean, we need to be fucking masked up. We need to not be getting down with our friends face to face. We need to not be going out to eat and sitting in a fucking restaurant. Please, Jesus Christ, stop doing that. I don't know. It's going to be a long, dark winter.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Totally bummed you two out. Josh just left.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good. It's really terrifying. And in Fayetteville, you go down on Dixon, which is our bar entertainment district, and it looks like any other Saturday night pre-COVID. And
right.
I'm not trying to be too judgmental, because, you know, if I was 21 and living in Fayetteville, I would probably be cheating death too, you know, to go out and drink. But it's getting bad, and here people have just kind of decided to kind of quote TikTok here that the pandemic's over because we're over it. And I know I read a report today that Tulsa is completely out of beds, or not beds, out of ventilators. So that's,
Jesus.
you know, from Fayetteville, that's where I would assume that we would go. And I know Fayetteville is nearing capacity from what I hear Washington Regional is. So I agree. And it's terrifying, because ultimately, like, who this is going to affect is, you know, the working class of people who can't, you know, aren't like me and can, I have the luxury of working from home. It's, you know, it's people out on the front lines. It's people who are working in restaurants and bars that our economy has deemed basically just disposable. And I think
right. When they say essential, they mean expendable.
Yeah, exactly. And it's honestly just like watching a train wreck and just knowing there's nothing that we can really do about it until everybody gets on the same page, which I think we can prove from the Proud Boy March on DC is not going to be anytime soon.
Right. Josh, you there? We lose you?
Oh, I think Josh might have actually left. Googie, are you there?
We all cut out, according to Harvey. I think that was from 23 minutes ago. I think she may have just got booted, though.
Oh yeah, I went ahead and blocked her from.
I don't know. I got another little thing, which is more of a call to action thing. It's probably best towards the back end. But I don't have a lot more to say about COVID other than, like, it needs to re-enter the conversation. Like, we We need to stop acting like this thing's gone. And I don't know. We haven't even fucking mourned people that are gone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
I think if anything that I got cut saying when my audio dropped out, it was just me yelling, "We are fucked, we are fucked, we are fucked." Because if you don't talk to someone who works like in the healthcare field and see what they're going through, you know, like this, we are fucked, and people, it's going to get worse because it is getting worse just because of infection rates. And also because we now have 47% or whatever of the country that doesn't care. Not good. This is not ideal.
Well, I mean, what really, I mean, among the things that really scares me and bums me the fuck out is that if we're just willing as a society to fucking memory hole and ignore the fact that at this point, at least 250,000 people are dead, and by the time this is all over, maybe we're looking at Spanish flu levels of death in this country, depending on how fucked up this vaccine rollout's going to go and everything. If we can just normalize that and memory hole it, what does that say about where we're headed if so much of the country can just be so absolutely fucking callous to the loss of life? You know,
And it's,
So, I
this
guess
is what I weep about, like going to bed every night.
Here's
I'm only half kidding.
my silver lining is that there is a jobs program that it's the Keynesian that there are going to be holes dug, but it's going to be to kill us and throw us into them. So we will have people that have jobs, but we are also going to get put into those holes.
absolutely. And it's hard to see people, I see this a lot, people being very just nonchalant and callous about people in their own community who are dying of COVID. I know somebody whose mom passed away from COVID, and when she'll post about it, people tell her through like this, I don't know if it's just people just get, Facebook courage or what it is, but they're just like, well, I'm so sorry that your mom passed away, but this is a liberal hoax. It's going to go away after the election. And even if it that small of a level of just community, people aren't caring. I agree. We're fucked. Like I don't know if there's ever going to be any coming back from this, and it's really scary to just have to just sit back and watch it happen.
I mean, that's more terrifying when it's people you know. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's one thing if it's
Completely.
250,000 people and you don't know a single fucking one of them, but it's another thing if it's like somebody you know's mom and you're sitting there still running your fucking mouth about it, like talking. I don't know. I mean, that's much more worrisome than the.
If the bikers for Trump tell me
context.
that it's fake news, okay, that's one thing. But if someone I actually know told me that, I would not like that as much.
Yeah.
Not good, guys. Not good.
Yeah.
Well, let's get some goss going up in here. Who wants to? Y'all both brought much lighter-hearted topics to the table. I was telling Taylor while you were dropped, Josh, that it's a good thing that Harvey and I are switching off right now because I think 2 doomers on the podcast might be a little bit too much. So,
very true.
I'll be your harbinger of bad news every couple of weeks, and Harvey will come on here and play the Joker every couple of weeks. So.
I don't know. We didn't talk about this at the top, but there is one of those MAGA marches going on downtown right now, I guess, and I'm recording from the bookstore, and I'm staring out the window right now for them, just like hoping they'll walk by. It's good content.
These motherfuckers have never heard of Marx, though. That's where you're safe.
Yeah. They're gonna go for that cookie dough place next door.
Taylor, they closed.
I'm gonna
I
need a
think
moment.
I think it was our friend Tom heckling them from stage that got them out.
Oh my god, what a night.
This motherfucker would grab them. He would just grab a mic and loudly yell about how much their cookie dough sucks. And I'm like, they can hear you, dude. Again, never let comedians work in your store because
We truly are. We're like cockroaches. We should be dead, but we're not.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love Tom though. Yeah, so what are we doing now?
I can go ahead and talk about the well, do I know what I'm talking about? The live
me every morning when I wake up.
Yeah, honestly, same. It is called the Life Works Here Talent Incentive, sponsored by the Walton Foundation, where they are the Northwest Arkansas Council is investing more than $1 million with an M over 6 months to attract top talent to the region through the Life Works Here initiative, which brings to light the lifestyle and career benefits offered by the region, which is Northwest Arkansas. First off, the Waltons can eat shit. I don't work for them, so I'm allowed to say that. The last thing that we need in this region are more people in general, but then more people who come from Austin or, New York or wherever and decide that they get to make shitty jokes about Arkansas while living here.
Right.
Also,
right. No,
also, it's important to note we don't have like a lack of talent here in Northwest Arkansas. It's not like you drive through and we're just like, the stereotype of Arkansas. You don't have like a bunch of like toothless barefoot hillbillies out here. This region is very developed. It has a thriving art scene, an amazing, if I may say so myself, comedy scene. We also have activists, and we have people who are trying to make this region better as it is. My best friend Elaine Jackson, she is an advocate, for violence of domestic abuse. Do you think that she couldn't use, this money, to help make this region better? But the kicker is, so they'll give you $10,000 if you move here from outside the state. So you couldn't even get somebody, from Arkansas that might live in, the southern part of the state, like into Queen or Magnolia. They want people from outside of Arkansas. So Josh, Harvey, Pat, you guys want to move to Arkansas, I guess, apply here.
I mean, this may be an all Arkansas podcast very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, very soon. $10,000.
But yeah, you get $10,000.
Changed my life.
And a added bonus, they'll give you a mountain or a street bike to explore our Northwest Arkansas Greenway, the bike trail where you could get stabbed if you wanted to, walking home at night. But
I'm 100% on board. If there's a chance that I might die, that somebody might end it for me, and I end up the subject of a true crime podcast at some point in the future, it sounds tight.
I mean, that's me and Taylor's Pivot is the true crime podcast that investigates your death.
It is.
That investigates my death.
Yeah.
But I just
got killed on a mountain bike.
But when I saw this, I was just filled with rage. And I said, I do come back to, I think of Elaine and what her organization could do with $10,000. I think of Chris Clunk, we call him all Clunk here, who ran a free food delivery service based on donations from both people like me and businesses donating food, and he coordinated, and then also, this was during the pandemic, allowed service workers who were out of work, allowed them to do the deliveries so they would make the money, like from the tips and stuff. And also, in the middle of all that, started fundraising via Facebook by auctioning off things in not by his dumpster, which is a fun Fayetteville thing, and raised thousands and thousands of dollars for single parents that were struggling through the pandemic. I think of Irvin Camacho, who is an activist in Springdale who works with the Bail Project. He also ran a few years ago for the seat that Duggar ran for. I think of Olivia Trimble, who is a public artist and also an activist, and the money that she could make, or the money that she could, the way that she could use $10,000 to not only beautify Fayetteville and the surrounding regions, but also with the activism work that she does. And I think it's just, I'm amazed every single day at how out of touch the very, very wealthy people of our region that typically live up like in Bentonville or Rogers or in the really, really nice parts of Fayetteville are from just like the everyday people that live and make this region as great as it is. And I have been angry about it all week, and I'll probably be mad about it for most of next week too.
Yeah.
So what do you have to do to qualify for this $10,000 bonus?
So you have to be 24 years old to have...
Exactly.
Is this some Kamala shit?
Is this something that like a pervy man is doing?
No. Unfortunately, I don't think so. You have to have at least 2 years of work experience. You have to have full-time employment, which can include self-employment. So, Pat, I think this podcast, along with your other job, will qualify you here.
I'm check so far.
You have to currently reside outside of the state of Arkansas.
Check.
You can relocate to Northwest Arkansas within 6 months of acceptance. And
absolutely,
you either have to be a U.S. citizen or have the necessary credentials required to work legally in the U.S. Oh, and also, if you don't want the bike, you can get an annual membership to one of our world-class arts and culture institutions, which is the...
Okay,
so do you have to land a job to get this, or is it just you don't have to? You just move.
You just move. I think what they're seeking are people who can work remotely and like ride their bike during the middle of the day to go get their expensive Onyx coffee. I mean, I love Onyx coffee, but I'm not trying to drag them. They're a great local business. But if people want to move here, like, that's fine. But why in the world would you prioritize those people who, like, we don't even know if they're gonna move here and like it and stay and make a meaningful contribution to our culture, or if they're just gonna come here, make fun of the world-class squirrel cook-off in Bentonville, which is a thing, and then leave once, you know, they legally can. Like, this sounds like a way for fucking people to grift.
Here's my promise to you.
Okay.
I will move to Northwest Arkansas. I will contribute almost nothing to the local economy or culture. I will ruthlessly make fun of Arkansas, but only because I earned that right by going to a school with 60 kids, kindergarten through 8th grade, about 4 miles from the Arkansas border. What else was there? Yeah, I'll offset your fucking Yankees and Texans and shit coming in by just being an actual Ozarker, as it were.
So
I don't know, but I won't promise to do any good. I'll probably stick around.
I'm coming into town. I'm taking the mountain bike. I'm just throwing it off into a ravine somewhere. But I am going to the cookout, and I will enjoy the cook-off. Like, I'll eat all the chili.
And then we can drive by the Duggar compound together.
Here's what, I'll tape our 2 bicycles together, Joshua, and build a super bicycle that the entire podcast plus kids can ride on together. And we'll go by the Duggar, ride by Tontitown and throw eggs at the Duggar compound.
We're
In
gonna challenge
Minecraft.
them. We're gonna challenge them to a race.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe we can try to steal one of their Trump flags.
Tug of war against 29 people or whatever, whatever there are.
honest, I'm not joking. This podcast can take them. Like, just the four of us against the Duggars. I'm ready. I am ready.
Well, plus our cats and the dogs. I think we could do it.
If I bring my pet, if I bring my cat Pushkin, it's over for the Duggars. Let him
challenge him to a round of paintball.
Let him pee all over the compound, folks. As he pees on my stove, everything.
Oh, Pushkin, baby, no.
Yeah, not good.
Not good, folks.
Oh, I'm so glad I don't own cats.
Yeah, they're dogs. I made the wrong choice.
But yeah, that's about all that I have on the Life Works Here initiative. It's infuriating. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What this goes back to what we talked about in the first episode, as you know, NWA is focused on growth, and it is in a long-term climate.
Oh, hey, I think I might have lost you.
No, you're back.
Okay. Sorry about that. Is Pat here?
We might have lost Pat.
Oh, the manga march is just going by right now. I'm sorry.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Okay,
What's
okay.
it? Are they marching or are they
no,
caravan?
they're in. Of course, they're in. They're honking. I don't know if you can pick that up. Trump, no more bullshit flag. Now they have to stop because the red light turned. I've seen. This is actually better than what we lost.
Honestly, yeah.
Look, they're honking now because I don't know if you can pick this up, but they're honking like maniacs.
Wow.
The minivan I see right now has 4 little tiny American flags. Let's see what's next.
1 for each abortion.
Okay, 1, 2, 3 flags in that one, and it has a "Don't Tread on Me" sign. And that's it. I see 7. That's their thing. It's that they. Oh no, there's a guy hanging out his window with the Trump Pence 2020 sign. I'm loving that. Like, if you don't know what I enjoy, it's just like idiots making idiots of themselves.
Let's talk about what do you got? Your Josh Oppo file?
So I've got two things here.
God, I'm so excited about this.
Okay, so I'll get into the Josh Oppo file in a second, because of a thing that the Discord has convinced me to do. And once again, join it, patreon.com/hootnhollerpod. So Trump lost. If we accept this, right?
I accept nothing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Look, I keep saying that I'll believe that Biden won whenever the Democrats lose the House in 2022. But that's the only way to be sure, right?
Right.
But I mean, Biden clearly won the election.
Right. Yeah. Like,
all things said and done, fair and square, Biden lost the election. Whether or not he becomes president on January 20th is another matter entirely.
whatever.
Yes, yeah, we agree that Biden won the presidency.
Whatever you think about Dominion voting,
Oh God. Our boy Billy. That didn't get brought up. I'm sorry to interrupt your segment here, but our boy Billy is all
we have so much.
up
That's
on
the
that
thing.
Dominion.
These should be 40-hour-long podcasts.
I know. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Okay,
I'm thinking about
yeah.
fucking Billy Long's Twitter.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
I
And that
it's not a crisis. This is not a crisis. Go ahead.
the Trump.
As you were saying, Biden has won.
I'm also gonna say that
Trump has
the
lost.
Trump people are going back the other way on Walnut now. Anyway, okay, so Trump lost, and now he has to find something to do in his like diseased brain that needs attention, and so he is going to make a news network. And he talked about
He's going to start a podcast.
right. He better not. Or he better join our podcast network, the Hoot Network. So he was planning this with Ailes before Ailes died from groping one too many women, but because he truly didn't think he was going to win. So I wrote up a 24-hour schedule for what his network is going to be. Let's see. Okay, so 5:30 to 6 a.m. is a show called My Beautiful Son Baron, which is an animated series all about Baron being tall. Being tall and being hot and being beautiful. Something for the kids, right? You need that. 6 to 9 is them just playing Fox and Friends and letting Trump do audio commentary over it. because Fox will still be too scared to like cross him. It's like we think we have to play ball.
It's like there's a Vice network show, I think, that I stumbled on one night when I was staying in a hotel for work, and it was Action Bronson and his friends watch Ancient Aliens.
Oh God!
They're just like smoking weed and watching Ancient Aliens, and like it keeps like doing a psychedelic back and forth between it, and I can imagine that with Trump and Fox and Friends, just like a stream of consciousness overlay.
He already does a Fox and Friends takeover when he like calls in and just talks for like an hour, and no one can stop him.
Yeah.
So.
And they're like trying to cut to a commercial break, and he won't stop talking. Once
Yeah.
again, can also relate.
So 9 to 11 is Brunch with Bongino. 11 to 12.
I want a brunch.
11 to 12 is a show called Outnumbered, but with men. Because Fox has a show called Outnumbered, and the concept is,
Right.
wouldn't it be crazy if there were more women on a show than men, but we're reversing it?
If they were all wearing low-cut dresses and 6-inch heels.
If you can see feet, but they're agreeing with, I don't know, Rudy or whoever. But we've switched it up, and now it's 5 men yelling at a woman. Probably a young
Who
woman.
gets that? Kayla McEnany or
Yes,
whatever?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be her next move.
Oh no, she's booked on there every day. Okay, that's actually very good.
Or Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who could like literally fight them
Right.
whenever something comes up.
Let's see. 12 to 1 is Ted Nugent firing bullets at different cutouts of issues of the fake New York Times, just for an hour.
Kid Rock can take over whenever Ted's on vacation.
They sub in and out. Yeah, no, perfect. Let's see. 11 to 2. Oh, this is my brother's joke, actually. Is a show called Triggered, but it's John Don Jr. hunting, and he kills endangered species, and then turns to the camera and says, "Triggered much, cucks?"
Oh my god.
Okay.
Today we're in the Arkansas Ozarks, and we've just spotted the last of the ivory-billed woodpeckers. Not a species not seen in 120 years. Bah! Triggered much, libs?
Oh, did you not enjoy watching this? Did you not want to watch this endangered species bleed out? Let's see. Okay. Okay, 2 to 3 is something called Local Reporter Ian Michaels Chong. What's his name?
Ian Miles
Miles
Chong. Ian
yeah.
Chong Miles?
Yeah, still gray.
Still gray.
It's called Live from the Scene with the America Report. This joke doesn't make sense if you don't know that there is in.
But
he lives in Malaysia. You know what I mean?
And has never been to the United States. He tweets about American politics like constantly, and is retweeted by our fucking congressman like 5 times in the last 24 hours. This motherfucker, and he lives in Malaysia and has never been to the United States.
Billy has been on that tip, and Trump has retweeted him.
He's just a Nazi. Like, there's all kinds of like old Reddit posts and shit where he's saying straight up Nazi shit and pedophilia shit, like about being able to wanting to creep on minors, and like talking about the final solution and shit like that.
Oh, great!
And he's just a Gamergate troll who's
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he has huge purchase on the American right Twitter sphere. I mean, he's like up there with Andy No as far as guys who were not there sharing other people's videos, lying about what happened.
Yeah, 1,000%. Okay, so from 4 to...
That's depressing as fuck because you're right. He's going to get a TV show.
But I do really hope it is still broadcast out of his, like, just office in Malaysia where he's like, live on the scene. So from 4 to 5, it's a show called It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, and it is a completely completely hammered Bill O'Reilly, and he's just shouting at interns around the studio. Like, there's not even politics, it's just him going off.
Just shit-faced.
Yeah.
I mean, do we get like Kenny Chesney as his co-host, or Alan Jackson, or any of the drinky island life country guys?
You probably get one, but Bill bullies him off after the first like couple episodes, right? Like, because he wants to be a one-man show.
Yeah, for sure.
So at 5 we have a show called The Six, and this is an alternative to the Fox News show The Five. And while the pun does not work, Trump decides we have to beat them by like one-upping them. So they have
one-upping them, yeah.
So we have 6 instead of 5. Then at 7 we have a show called Tucker, but now Tucker spells it with a KKK. Because he got pulled over from Fox because he was like, now I can be free to say my thing. 8 to 9 we have Hannity and Combs.
They're bringing.
Oh
back
no, they brought
Combs.
back Alan Combs. Wait, didn't Alan Combs die? Isn't he dead?
Listen, I have this written in the notes. I wrote, also Trump stole Sean from Fox, his most loyal toady, and even though Alan Combs died a decade ago, there will be a hologram
3 years ago
to make weak liberal arguments for Sean to all caps destroy.
Yeah, 3 years ago. He died in 2017, it looks like.
Why have I thought he's been dead? It feels like he's dead.
It's because he's looked dead since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Look,
yeah, he's got a real Crypt Keeper vibe.
I literally almost said Alan looks like the Crypt Keeper. Let's see. Okay, and then I have a show called Huckabee's Hoot and Holler Jamboree, and I wrote we will be suing. And then Pillow Talk with my pillow guy. That's my brother's joke, but
that's a good one. I like that.
And then a
so
show
my
called
Pillow Guy has a book out that we should all read.
Oh yeah, that's some bonus content right there.
Yeah.
Sleepy Joe, which is live footage of a drone flying over Joe Biden's head, just finding him asleep and just showing it for a while during the night. And then for the rest of the night, they make Bill Mitchell he has the overnight section because they don't respect him, and he does like a coast to coast AM show where it's just like conspiracy stuff with Bill, but he's just happy to be there. He's just smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, he has that big toothy grin.
Just that perfect Bill smile that I respect it. But Trump tweeted today, and I'm going to read this. This is why Fox daytime and weekend have lost their ratings. They are abysmal. Mayor of Indiana at Alfred Newman, unsuccessful by far.
Alfred E. Newman won.
Yes.
At Alfred E. Newman won. I saw this
Yes.
one.
Mayor of Indiana's most unsuccessful city by far, on more than Republicans. Many great alternatives are forming and exist. Try AONN and Newsmax, among others, ! So he is going to do this. He is going to make a...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I read that one out loud to Harvey, and she was like, been calling it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
mean, it's clearly, it's what he was trying to do. Limbaugh's going to die. There's going to be a big vacuum anyways. Like, he's successfully turned a bunch of his supporters off of Fox. Like,
right.
It's what he's going to do. He's going to...
Can I say...
when Limbaugh dies, there's just this huge vacuum.
Can I say that I'm happy that Limbaugh's dying? Is that offensive?
Yeah.
He's been nothing but poison for this
motion,
world. So.
I submit the motion to make that the official stance of the podcast.
Yeah.
Can I get a second?
Seconded. Absolutely.
All in favor and say aye.
I think so, yeah.
Aye.
Rush Limbaugh has been trash for as long as I've been alive. I'm not crying too hard over the fact that he is dying, hopefully very soon.
He's a Missouri boy too. He's one of our biggest shames.
And his shitty brother is up there too, like doing.
I don't even know.
David Limbaugh writes books. Just grabbing the coattails. You know what I mean?
I worked at this private dinner club in North Carolina, which was a really surreal experience because it was a mix between like older, middle-aged to older, like career cooking professionals, and then a bunch of twerpy-ass rich kids whose parents were members of different dining clubs, not that one. And one of the guys I worked with was this real rich prick who idolized Limbaugh, and he and the chief chef would both listen to Limbaugh every single day in the kitchen really loud. And he went into radio. I'm pretty sure he's a like right-wing talk radio guy in North Carolina now. And I used to listen to his internet show every now and then, and it was like it's the worst shit.
Jesus.
It's the same format as Limbaugh. It's just like, how many people can possibly fucking do this? Just say awful, bigoted shit for 4 hours a day.
We say this as we launch a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How many people can do this?
Hoping to at least pay for itself eventually.
No, we're better. We're better.
Folks,
than
I
Rush.
did the math, and with our we're much better than Rush. And folks, I did the math, and at our current level of subscription on Patreon, we will be able to pay these mics off by the time my son graduates college. So we thank you very much to all of our loyal early patrons. Truly, they're all a lot of fun. All right, so I want to hear about this. Let's do a little background on this Oppo file.
Okay.
Right? This is very much an inside joke. But I believe Harvey mentioned it last time, talking about just running campaigns locally no matter what. Even if it's just like be unapologetically, unabashedly yourself, and it's fine if it's absolutely absurd and you have no chance of winning. And since then, the three other of us have been trying to convince Joshua to run for office, because he jokingly said he was going to move to Branson and run against Seitz. But now I think the consensus is we want you to run against Billy Long in 2022 maybe in the Republican primary, but as Alf.
Yes, I would love to see him get primaried by a man in an Alf costume.
So join the Discord, because you can see me being subtly cyberbullied into being slowly convinced that this is a good idea. Where,
Yeah.
like,
join the gaslight channel on the Discord.
this is some real we have a gaslight anthem going over here, and the anthem the anthem is Josh should run as Alf against Billy Long. And so we have to slowly get the Oppo file out there, so they can't.
Right. We're gonna head this bastard off at the pass, so he can't fling any mud. We're just gonna get every skeleton out of Joshua Arnett's, Alfnet's closet and out there. So
I mean,
this will probably end up being a running segment.
No.
Yes.
Oh, if you know how many just embarrassing things I've done. If Hunter Biden went out there and just like admitted being like pathetic in a New Yorker article, and that was like a front to help his dad out. So I now have to mention some things. So yes, in high school I was in a band called Yellow Flag. And our band was called Yellow Flag because we said that is the name of the flag when you piss on it.
Oh, what little baby badasses!
I mean, in our head we were trying to do a play on anti-flag and black flag and.
Yeah, I thought it was like, we like Black Flag, but we're more Yellow Card fans.
Oh God, no, that would be good if we were a pop punk band that were like, we want to sing about Ocean Avenue, but let's see. Okay, so I only have two other things, two lyrics here. We had a song that was our smash hit because I could not find where the notebook was this morning. But we have a song called "Breaking the Rules," and the I'm sorry,
If
breaking.
You have to say it.
Breaking. Oh, I. Let me bring out the ukulele. No. So the lyrics are smash. The chorus is smash the government, smash the state, breaking the rules of the punk rock way.
Oh my God.
How old were you during this musical venture?
18, I think. We played one show, a high school battle of the bands, and I do have a show where, yes, we did crucify an Uncle Sam behind the stage. Not.
Was this a sanctioned event by the high school?
I was so sure that our teacher, Mr. Cruz, was going to pull us off of stage the entire time. Like, I was like, this is not acceptable. Like, you can't let this happen, right? I'll have to find the rest of the lyrics because I won't lie, this song's kind of good. But we have another song called "Destroy America."
Oh yes, the byline to Donald Trump's upcoming memoir.
The chorus is "Smash America, Destroy America, Fuck America, You Destroy America." You know, like obviously.
It sounds like a bop.
Right. I mean, that's the chorus, but the first part of the verse is the Olympics are rigged so America wins. NBC's Tridecast aired their sins. And I don't remember the other part, but the rhyme scheme was something about how Lance Armstrong had a juiced pedal. I don't know. It's been so long. So Billy Long, come at me.
Well, I don't think you've ever unironically retweeted Ian Miles Chong or Andy No. So I think you got a leg up. He certainly has a large war chest that you'll have to compete against, though.
Once they did the elf, though, I feel like they're like, who do we want, Elf or Billy?
Personally, I want
Yeah.
Alf. Even if it's like if it's the actual miserable ass fucking television show character, I'd rather have Alf.
Also, if you know that one of the feet from my costume is missing, and I don't know if I can find either of the hands, we still want Elf.
We still want Alf.
Maybe we can fundraise you the missing parts of your Alf costume.
Okay, thank you.
I think you'll do better if you just barefoot, you know. Show the feet, sweetie.
That will be my Alf OnlyFans will.
That's the new tier on our Patreon is Josh posting feet.
Why not?
Yes. Billy, compete with this.
So, as you may have noticed, we ran into technical difficulties this week. We recorded a decent amount, and Josh dropped out at one point, and then we kept recording after he jumped back in, and then my computer froze, and we thought we lost all of it. So we managed to recover most of the beginning after we also went back and re-recorded the intro. No love lost. It's a little sporadic as it is, but I'm sure if this is not your first week listening, that you've become used to our, jack shit production value. Some might even call it endearing. Anyways, at the top I kind of promised a less bleak part outside of my COVID part, which was very bleak. So I'm going to do that here. And it's going to sound bleak too. I am the resident warrior. Anyways, it's Tuesday night. I'm ready to put this thing up. Just thought I'd put in a couple more words. So, this year has been a frog boil. It's been particularly hot and fast, but it's a frog boil nonetheless. We keep waiting for the thing to happen. And things have happened, but no one thing, one event, even one crisis has risen to the fore as a universally acknowledged, okay, this is it, this is happening kind of moment. Every segment, every facet, every institution in our country seems to be descending into a deep madness. Stocks are rising right alongside surging COVID cases, and the sitting president and most of his party attempt to delegitimize the election. Police, broadly, have stepped up use of force against left-wing and civil rights protests, while holding right-wing, often armed protests to a different standard entirely. Houselessness and food insecurity have skyrocketed, and no relief seems inbound from the federal government, while the robber barons of our day take more and more for themselves. And looming behind all this is dire news about the climate. Record-breaking fires, record-breaking storms, and perhaps runaway ice loss at the poles. There have definitely been oh shit moments in all this, of course, turning points, counter-narratives, but every time we reach what feels like a peak, it turns out to be a foothold. Things are very grim, folks, not gonna lie. So I don't begrudge anyone finding a little light these last few weeks and how dumb and funny it all is. So much of it is very darkly funny. Most of the news these days can inspire laughter, tears, or complete numbness, just depending on what time of day it hits you, what kind of mood you're in, what you ate. And it's hitting you all day. Day in, day out, every day. It's overwhelming. It can be paralyzing even. But we don't have time to be frozen. No one is coming to save us. It's up to us, to the people. Proletariat, the workers, the parents, the students, the teachers, the nurses, the poor. We have to get to work in our communities. We have to build dual power, creating and investing our energy into alternative institutions, and lifting each other up through mutual aid and labor and tenant organizing. We have to get to work in the neighborhoods and rural areas that our political and economic system has all but abandoned to reactionary and predatory forces. And we have to not only demand a better future, but start building it ourselves.
We don't have time to wait for the waves of mass movement politics to reach our hills. We have to start building the relationships and trust and power to serve as the infrastructure for change. We have to start today. There has never been a better time to harness that anxious despair that's humming in your ears and turn it into action. To find a project and dive in. To start building affinity with your neighbors and comrades. So let's go.
I'm gonna put in a trombone on everyone.
Where can we find you guys on the internet?
You can find me at Tay Hearn Hay, Tayhe. Fuck, I didn't mess up my own plug. You can find me on all socials at Tay Hearn Hay, TayHernHey, Instagram, Twitter, all of those. Yeah.
You can find me driving around Springfield, Missouri right now with a Trump flag on my truck, shouting out the door at random people, Trump, Trump, Trump. And you can also find me at Twitter at Joshua Arnett.
And you can find Harvey at Harvey the Haint on Twitter. You can find me at Woke Nat Kenny. And you can check us out and support us if you would feel so inclined, which would be so grateful to, I don't know, Joshua wants to get into therapy.
If you've gotten this far, you need to know that I need to be in therapy.
I'm sure Taylor would love to quit working for the man and just be a stand-up. I would love to quit my job and just become a goat farmer. So if you will consider joining us over on the Patreon, pledges start at just $1 a month, and we have several tiers up from there. I don't know if this will be a regular thing or not, but I will give a shout out to our early patrons here who have been great. Already shouted out Guy, who jumped on board before I ever even posted a link. I'm not sure how he even found us, but we're grateful for his contributions. Blake, my good buddies Shane and Will, Riley, Victoria, Taylor, Jerica, Ryan, Matthew, Russ, and one of my best buddies in the whole world, Meredith. So thank you all for supporting us, and if anybody else wants to jump in on that, we have bonus episodes about once a month. That starts at $1 a month, and then upward from there we have perks like weekly bonus content from each of us, and an invite to our Discord server where all the jokes really happen. Consider checking us out. We're at patreon.com/hootnhollerpod. You can find us on Twitter at hootnhollerpod, facebook.com/hootnhollerpod. We're at hootnhollerpod on Instagram. Basically, everywhere you would want to find us, just look for hootnhollerpod.
We should ask about Wilco.
Oh, so Wilco. Yeah. Okay. So, were you, or do you know someone who was at the Wilco show at the Shrine Mosque in October of 2006 in Springfield, Missouri? If you are, and you would feel so comfortable, what I would love for you to do is get on your phone, go to a quiet place, and make a short voice memo, 2 to 5 minutes long, whatever, and email it to hootnhollerpod@gmail.com. Now, I don't even care if you were there. This is a particularly infamous night in Missouri Ozarks history and in Wilco history broadly.
Yes.
So I feel like people have memories around this, regardless of whether or not they ended up going. I myself didn't go, but I do have a very vivid memory of what happened to me on that night because it was attached to the fact that I missed the show where Jeff Tweedy did something that I won't spoil here for people who don't know what I'm talking about. I don't want to hear about necessarily just that something. We want to hear your story from that night. Like, did you get laid? Did you break up with your girlfriend of 5 years in the parking lot and miss the show? Did you break your ankle walking home drunk? Did you get
too high and forgot that it was that night and thought it was the next night. Whatever, man. I want just 2 to 5 minutes talking about that night. It doesn't have to be focused around what it is, what it's famous for or anything. Just please tell us your story about the Wilco show at the Shrine Mosque in October of 2006. Again, the email address is hootnhollerpod@gmail.com. Just send us a short little file. We're trying to put together an oral history. I think it's going to be a really cool project. Did I miss anything in that?
No, perfect.
No, I think that's it.
We are also apparently a Wilco fan cast now.
Yes.
We keep finding...
We may be sharply divided on this.
Yeah, we keep finding alliances and dividing lines across various fault lines between the members of the pod. And I think Wilco is probably definitely one of them.
Is this going to tear us apart?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Harvey has his Sunvolt tattoo. We're more of a J for our household, so you know, it is what it is.
First live show is me jumping on stage and doing the thing to Pat.
Also, if you join the Discord, I mean, you could just Google this and find it. But if you join the Discord, you could easily find a 2 megapixel video from 2006 taken on somebody's flip phone of the event in question. So, if you know the guy, not Jeff Tweedy, the other guy, if you know that guy, tell him to.
Also, you know Jeff. If you know Jeff Tweedy,
if you know Jeff Tweedy, whatever.
Tell him to rate, review, subscribe.
Yeah. Tell. To anyone who may be listening who knows Jeff Tweedy or Jay Farrar of the seminal band Uncle Tupelo, if you could just tell them to give us a listen, and that'd be great. Anything else, folks?
No, unless we want to go into another 2-hour podcast about Wilco, which I could easily do. I think that's it for me.
Oh yeah, that's on the Patreon this week. It's Taylor's bonus content week, and she has put together an extensive Weepy Tweedy playlist called Tweedy songs to cry to in an Arby's drive-thru. Is that right?
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
I actually put an Uncle Tupelo song on there for you.
I know you did. I saw that. All right, folks. Also, I like Golden Smog too. I'll give he's kind of like an ancillary member of that, I think, but. That's enough Tweety talk for this week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.